Hi, Rebecca Stretton.
Hi.
So nice of you to join us today and bring with you the tape of your, is that your first fashion show?
Yeah, it's the first one I've had so far.
And how did you, Rebecca is 16
Yeah, I'm 16.
and in what grade?
I am a sophomore at Athens High School.
A sophomore at Athens High School. And how did you get into this business? Well, first of all, what's the business? What do you do?
I design and create fashion, and it all started when I was really young. I used to watch Project Runway, and one day...
What was the last sentence? I have trouble hearing. And you what?
I watched Project Runway when I was young, and then that kind of, I knew that that's what I wanted to do, was design fashion. And then I bought
And what was it you watched?
Project Runway.
Project Women?
Runway.
Oh, okay.
With
And
Tim
what
Gunn,
is
yeah.
that?
It's a show where designers compete to be the best designer.
And is it like on television or you go there?
Yeah, it's on television.
All right. Okay, and so you were very young and you decided, I want to do that.
Yeah, I think I made my first shirt when I was like probably around 10.
10?
Yeah.
And when did you get your first sewing machine?
Well, mostly I just used my mom's sewing machine, but yeah.
Must be a pretty good sewing machine.
Yeah, it works.
So I guess your home economics teacher is pretty proud of you. Or do you teach it?
Well, when I did take a class, I was pretty, I knew mostly what I was doing.
Advanced.
Yeah. But yeah, I mostly taught myself how to sew.
So tell me about the first outfit you ever made.
The first thing I ever made was a shirt, and it actually is in the fashion show that you will see on the tape. It turned into a dress. It's the black and red dress. I was really proud of it.
Wow. Now, how much did your mom help you with patterns and stuff? Or I don't know if you use patterns. I don't know what you do. Tell me about the process.
I have an abnormal approach. I don't really make patterns or sketch. I just kind of play with the fabric until I find something that speaks to me, and then I make it.
And so you make them for yourself to wear?
No, I make them for a model to wear. I'm planning on having my own fashion show at some point.
And how do you know they'll fit the model? What model? Are you going to get a model that fits your dress?
I'll make the standard size, and then I'll fit it to the model when I get models.
And the standard size is size?
I believe it's size 4, but I'm
4?
not entirely sure.
Good Lord. Well, those women that modeled your clothes, they were thin.
My plan actually is, once I'm more successful, and I actually recently got an adjustable dress form, and my plan is to kind of have my signature thing be to have healthy weight models that are actually of average size and are like actual women.
Well, you know, I can't sew. I can't sew at all. At one period, I made skirts, I think, with elastic in the waist. But, okay, let me recapitulate. Recapitulate? Okay. So you can say anything on this show. At 10, you started producing, designing.
Yeah.
And you watched Runway when you were how old? And made your decision what to do with your life?
Yeah.
So how old were you then?
whenever Project Runway came out. Do you know?
Very young.
Yeah,
Okay.
very young.
What about it captured your imagination? If you can think back to Runway, what went through your mind?
I don't know. Somehow I saw it and I thought about it. And it started with me seeing other people's designs and picturing what I would do if I were to have made them. And then I basically just went on from there and started thinking of my own designs and playing with fabric and curtains and old thrift store sheets and whatnot. And then I just kind
Wow.
of branched out from there.
Wow. It's such a far cry from what I can do. I would love to do that, but so how did you get connected with the women? What happened is what happened is that your clothes, the clothes you designed, were modeled and pranced out, or whatever you call them, at the recent International Women's Program at Baker Center. And I learned that you were only 16 and you had designed all these clothes and they were gorgeous. And boy, those women were really strutting, weren't they?
Yeah, they did a really nice job. It was wonderful to work with them.
So how did you get connected with those models?
They actually supplied the models.
They actually what?
They supplied the models for me.
Oh,
yeah.
They did. And they were students?
Yes, most of them are students, I believe.
Oh, and is that the first time you'd seen the models the night of the
We
exhibit?
arranged a fitting beforehand, and then they showed
Oh.
at the show.
The fitting. And do you draw pictures of these, or do you not draw pictures, you just mess with the material?
I pretty much just mess with the fabric. Sometimes I'll draw sketches if it's an idea that I've never seen before and I don't want to forget it. But usually I just play with the fabric and then I end up with something that I really like, or I end up with something I hate and I start over.
And you select material to go with your idea that you want to produce. You have a picture, say, of a cape, and then you go to the store and look for, or it doesn't work that way?
Well, I actually have an interesting approach where I usually will buy fabric that I really like, or that's on sale, or that's part of something else that I find at a thrift store, and then I try to recreate it.
Wow. Well, I'm blown away. I'm just really impressed. What a head start you have on your career. And so your next step is going to be what? How are you going to connect this up?
Hopefully, I want to have a fashion show next April or at some point next year.
This year or next year?
Well, technically it's this year, so yeah. But
What places are available to have the fashion show?
I don't really know. I might be having my own show at the Women's Day Festival. We'll just see how that goes.
At the what festival?
The International Women's Day Festival that was at Baker.
Oh, next year.
Yeah, next year.
Uh-huh. All right. That's really exciting. Well, I'm so glad to meet you. And we're going to take a look at Women's International Day presentation of Rebecca's. And what is your name going to be? Your business name or whatever?
I was thinking my business name would be Tegan's Designs. Tegan is my middle name, and
And what's your middle name?
Tegan.
How do you spell it?
Tegan.
Oh, Tegan's Designs. Okay, I'll look for that. In the department stores or one of those original places in New York or something.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at Rebecca's show. All right, tell us about this.
This is a look that is called Flow. It was one of the earlier looks that I created, and I was really inspired by water while I was making it. I also had it in a show at the Dairy Barn called Flow. Had it in the Flow show.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, look here. Ooh.
This look I did not make, but I can definitely respect the designer who did make it.
Boy, she's got the motions down, doesn't she?
She has some spunk.
Now you say some of these you designed and some you didn't.
Yeah, this is another look that I designed. I had 4 models in this show, and this look, I was actually really proud of this look because it's very difficult to make a jacket, and I was really proud that I made a jacket, and I never made a jacket before.
How about this one?
I did not make that one. I did make this one that you see coming up next, and it was actually the top of that dress was it was the first thing I had ever made, and then I added the bottom of the dress later on.
Wow.
And I'm very proud of that one, and the model is really working it too.
Yeah. Now, do you say these models are group?
Yes, they're a group called Faces.
Is that yours?
That one you see there, no, it is not mine, but I really like the way it flows.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. You tell me about the models group.
Oh, yeah, it's a modeling group called Faces, and they model looks.
Are they part of OU?
Yes, I believe they are. I know it.
They're a modeling club.
This final look is a look that I created.
Wow. Now, what are we looking at? Are we looking at the red cape?
Yes, it is a red shawl, and it was one of the most recent looks I had actually created, and yeah, and I made the skirt that matches it.
Wow.
I don't know what to say.
Now, the one with the red cape.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 looks in the front were designs that I created.
Well, I am so impressed.
Thank
I am
you.
really impressed. And I understand that you're called a fashionista.
Yeah, I suppose you could use that.
That's a name they used on runway?
Yeah.
Or where'd that come from? Besides your mom.
I don't really know. Just a term that is used often.
That's neat. Okay, well, I hear a rumor that you also make other things besides dresses.
Yes, That is true. I've made several purses, and I love to make jewelry. And I have matching accessories for all of the looks that I've created.
And I heard a rumor that when you were a toddler, you were always very picky with your clothes.
Yes, I was pretty vocal about whether I wanted to wear something or not, and I tended to pick out my own outfits.
And you've been to New York.
Yes, I did. Over the summer, I took a trip to New York with my mom's sister and her boyfriend.
And how old were you?
I was 15.
Last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we went because my sister made it onto the show Say Yes to the Dress. And we were there for the recording of that. And then we spent a few days in New York. And I really, really wanted to go to Mood because that's the ideal place to buy fabric.
And where was that?
It's in New York.
What's the name of it?
Mood.
Mood?
Mood, yeah.
Okay, got that.
And while we were in the store, I literally walked in and I gasped and I just looked around because it was like a magical place. I turned to my mom and I said, I want to live here. I'm going to find a closet in the back and I'm going to move in.
And you visited the set of Runway, is that it?
No, while we were there, they were recording Project Runway, and the designers go to Mood to select their fabric for their looks. And while I was there, Tim Gunn ended up coming in.
Oh.
And they were trying to get people to leave so they could record Project Runway.
They're trying to get people to leave?
Yeah, they're trying to get people to leave the store so that they would
And
be
you
able
said,
to
no,
record
no.
I actually hid in the back of the store until everybody had cleared out of Tim Gunn's way, and then I went over to him. I followed him. I went over to him, and then I had a 5-minute conversation with him about how I wanted to be a fashion designer, and how it was amazing meeting him. He was one of the most amazing people, and he ended up telling me to make it work, which is his catchphrase, and that really meant a lot that he said that.
And what did he tell you?
Just basically that I should pursue the career I want, and that and I told him that he may see me later down the road, and that I might be on Project Runway.
Did you show him any pictures of what you'd...
I unfortunately did not have enough time to show him. Plus, I honestly was in shock that I got to meet Tim Gunn. It was a big deal. It was awesome.
So he encouraged you. Did he tell you what steps to take?
No. Our conversation was rather brief.
Hiding in the back of the store is a fairly good step.
Well, you know.
That's neat. And so where was your sister at this time?
She was waiting in the car, but she later came in and looked at me.
Oh, and said, "Where is my whatever sister?" Well, neat. Well, we'll have to have you come back sometime and model your own clothes.
Yeah.
You're not size 4.
No, I think you can tell that I'm not. But,
You can increase the size of the clothes.
yes.
Easier,
yes,
I know, than to go to a size 4.
Yeah. I've actually cut up a few of my dresses that I wear to dances. I've actually cut up a few of them, and I started attaching things and designing with them.
Wow, well, I'm really impressed, and thank
you.
you so much for being willing to come in and talk with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And you can do your own show on Access. This is public access. We're all volunteers, and
That's really
come
great.
and do your thing. Okay, thank you. Rebecca or Becky? You're not Becky, you would have said it. You don't like Becky.
No.
No. Rebecca is more solid, Adult? Well, adult. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, Athens. Welcome to Kaleidoscope. This is Crone, and I'm here with my co-producer, Motormouth.
I accept it. I accept it. Been called it before. I told Ann when she first told me that, somebody, I don't know what they do, email, call, and said that that's who we were, Crone and Motormouth. And I said, well, I've been called that before. And she said, well, have you been called, not to your face? And I said, oh, yes, to my face. Obviously, you didn't have brothers and boy cousins. They'll call you anything.
Well, we have another fan letter. What's the opposite of a fan letter? Maybe the opposite.
Are we being unfanned?
Well, it came in on a Christmas card, and
Nasty and cheap.
it said that the best thing, what he wanted to see this week was our special news footage from downtown Athens. And he would like us to play it first so he didn't have to put up with the rest of listening to us.
You know.
And he's going to have to put up with the rest of it to get there, because we're going to play that special footage at the very end of the hour.
And go out and buy yourself some decent stationery, honestly. A Christmas card, it's Easter, hello. And it's okay if you don't like us, you know. We probably don't like people too. Don't know about you, but, you know. So that's fine, no problem.
And speaking of Easter, I got a call from Jane, and she said, I've got a topic, but it might be too controversial.
And Nan said nothing is too controversial for us.
That's right. And so, tell us about your suggestion.
Well, this is something that I saw in I guess I'd call it a little blurb in New Scientist magazine, and I don't know if any of you get that. I don't even get it. I just go online sometimes and read stuff. And it said, the teaser, you know, to get you to look at the thing. And then, of course, pay if you wanted to read the whole article, which I was too cheap to do. The teaser was, did Jesus have a wife? And I thought, you know, there have been so many speculations about that, and so many books written where he might have had, and so on and so forth. So I thought, well, I have to read this. This is really interesting. No, I got enough from not paying. And then I went on the web. You know, I Googled it. But here's the thing. A woman who works at Harvard in the divinity school is a translator of ancient Aramaic. There's this little scrap of paper about this big, and it's been authenticated as being from the, I don't remember what century, like 1st or 2nd century AD.
I think actually it's the 8th.
Is it? I don't remember what century, but some long time ago anyway. long time ago. And the ink has been verified as being ancient ink, and the Aramaic language that's used in this scrap has been verified as being ancient. And here's the thing, the sad part, it's just a cutout. It's like somebody cut it out from the middle of something, which makes sense because one of the things that the scrap is doing is talking about conversation between Jesus and somebody, I don't know who, and in that conversation he says, my wife. Now that's it. There's no more information. He doesn't say a name, or else the name's cut off, I don't know. But he says, my wife. And they have gone over this. Evidently there's some way in Aramaic Aramaic that just one character slightly squinched could mean something else. So they really looked it over and, studied it, and they have decided, and, other scholars have agreed that that's what it says. Now, of course, we don't know who wrote this or why or what the validity is, but it's buzzing up the internet right now.
Well, the earlier rumor was that Jesus was gay. So now that he's married.
He's married. Well, they said in the article that it would be extremely, extremely unusual, in fact, almost unheard of, that a Jewish man of his age would not be married. That was, part of the culture and happened when the young man was pretty young. And it would just be unheard of that he wouldn't be. So the scholars who have studied that particular culture and that particular age, say they're not surprised at all, because that was part of the culture, that every man got married. So,
well, look at this. Look at this. Whoa. I read this some time ago by Sylvia Brown. Did you ever hear of her?
Yes.
And she died recently.
Oh, did she?
And she is a psychic, and that fact goes in with her psychic perceptions. This is called The Two Marys, The Hidden History of the Mother and Wife of Jesus. And it's too close to Easter for me to discount some of the beliefs, but I'll tell you, I got this out of the library, and if you try to get it, I've got it right now.
Be patient.
But the idea was that under the cross was a pad, and though he hung there, he was supported, and there was a plan to scoot him out of the country. And he went, I guess, to France.
Yeah.
And there's all that business about the Knight Templars or something.
Have you ever seen the Black Madonna in where is it? Marseille, I think. It's in Marseille. It's supposed to be something it's very revered, and it's been around for centuries and centuries. And it supposedly was brought from the Holy Land by Joseph of Arimathea when Jesus went there.
So Jesus was married to a black woman?
No, it was just a statue. He's supposed to be married to Mary Magdalene.
Okay.
But this is just a statue that was brought by Joseph of Arimathea at the time when supposedly Mary Magdalene and family and went to this southern area in southern France. And then, supposedly, the early kings of France were related, supposedly.
Related, that means related to God.
Related to Mary Magdalene anyway.
Well,
Just saying, we don't know about God, but Mary Magdalene supposedly.
well, I was thinking about controversial topics, and I thought, well, one controversial topic I don't want to touch locally is gun control.
Yeah.
And what was the?
Well, I think that depends on your take on gun control.
Oh no, I mean, well, yeah, but I don't want to encourage people to kill me.
To hate you even more than they already do. Well, let me just say this. I grew up in West Virginia in a house where there were guns, and we had a gun safe, and my father had the key. There is no way on God's green earth that anybody could have gotten in there. It was a heavy iron, metal safe. My son has it now. And what's wrong with that? Just put your guns in there. You got the key. Open it up. Take your gun out. Lock it up again.
And now we need a key for the kitchen drawer.
Well, some people just have them in a shoebox up in their closet, and you know how kids are. Kids are so curious, especially little boys. And I have 2 little grandsons.
Is that sexist?
I don't know. My opinion. So there you go. Whether it's sexist or not. Honestly, my 2 little grandsons are far more curious than my granddaughter. Now, I don't know if everybody's are like this, but they hang around that gun safe. They would just love to be able to get in there. So, that's what I think.
Well,
That's the gun control I think we should practice. Everybody that has a gun should have it locked up in a gun safe.
and proves that they're not crazy.
Well, I don't know about that. Yes, before they get it, but after they get it, you know, if they go nuts after they get it, there's nothing we can do.
Well, you know, when I used to be old.
Did you?
In the olden days, old people would go to sleep in their rocking chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And now I go to sleep at my computer.
Oh, do you?
I really do. And this morning I was trying to remember whether I really saw something on Google or it was a dream. Because what I saw was not in my email anymore, but I seem to remember that it was from Google, and it was telling us that they were reading all of our email going and coming and sending it to storage.
Well,
I looked further and it was true.
yeah, I was going to say, I think that's true.
I mean, all our email going and coming, they are recording.
Yes, because the NSA can't do it anymore. The deal they made was that the NSA wouldn't do it, and the providers
NSA
would.
is
National Security Administration or something like that. I don't know. Association. But anyway, that's Edward Snowden worked for NSA, and he leaked all this information about how all of our phone calls and emails are being monitored. All I have to say is I pity the guy that's had to listen to my phone calls. You know, you think this is bad? Listen to my phone calls sometime.
well. You notice I never phone you. I
Yes, you always
we
write.
do it on email.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we won't. That was the nightmare. I mean, it was the nightmare that I didn't dream, but it really was.
It's really true.
Well, the first time one of those little drones comes looking in my window, I'm going to throw my cat at it.
There you go. Well, I don't think they'll get mine because mine's ohio.edu email, and I don't think that they're going to get mine.
You think they have Google too?
Oh, do they? Well,
Well, you
whatever.
know, I was at the OU library on the second level near where you copy things, and there was something someone had copied, and it was from the internet, and it was written in code.
Oh, huh.
And I took it, and I thought, now, should I give this to the FBI or not? Because it was words, you could tell it was in code that didn't make sense, and it was kind of...
Just scan it and email it to somebody. Don't get it.
Oh, you want it?
No. Yeah, I'll take it.
Well, do you know anything about this?
No, and what is that? Grapes?
That's bugs.
Ew. Oh, golly.
It's
I
called
know.
the paleo diet, and
Yeah.
there is a book out about it, urging us to eat like our ancestors ate, and look how they produced us. So.
Well, I'm not eating any raw meat for anybody, so there you go. And no bugs. Absolutely out of the question, no bugs.
See, maybe I should show the bugs.
Yeah, they look like grapes, but they're actually bugs. Oh, goodness me. The worst thing I ever saw anybody eat, when I was in Australia, we went to Ayers Rock, you know, the big red rock out in the middle of the country of Australia. And the native people there's certain tribes inhabit, different areas, kind of just like our Native Americans do. And the particular group that was near Ayers Rock participated in, working with the tourists, and they had a center there, and you could go there, and they would show you different things that they do and all this. Well, one of the things that they do is they go out, they call it the bush. They go out in the bush. Well, they should call it the bush because there aren't any trees. It is so deserty, dry, hot, that everything is just tiny. So anyhow, you can go on they call it walkabout. You can go on a walkabout. So naturally, I had to go.
Of course, Jane has to go everywhere.
I do, and I want to see this walkabout. So I go, and one of the things they're doing is showing you how, before the days of canned green beans, they would have found their food. And they have a little stick, and they dig stuff up. Well, one of the things they dug up was, it looked like a caterpillar, but they called it a grub. It was white, and honest to God now, I'm not kidding, it was about that big around. It was humongous. And they just were delighted because they said, this is a wonderful source of protein. It's got water. There's, of course, not very much water around there, to drink. And they just proceeded to pop it right in their mouth and eat it. I was just like, oh, I can't even, that was too much for me. To think of chewing that thing up, couldn't do it.
Well, people out there that have been waiting for the news item may not make it to the news item.
Well, you never know.
Well, I had a friend who worked out, maybe it was in Arabia, and he said the delicacy was goat eyeballs.
Oh, goat eyeballs. Well, I don't know which would be worse, that huge yucky grub or a goat. I think I'll pick a goat eyeball.
Well, I
myself.
know what would be worse for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A spider.
Oh, my goodness. Don't even go there. Just the thought. That worm was bad enough, but I take a goat eyeball because I could swallow it whole probably, and I wouldn't have to chew it. Indiana Jones, do you remember that? Did you ever see those Indiana Jones movies?
Oh yes.
Remember, they had a meal where they were eating all that crazy stuff. And then there's that guy, Bizarre Foods, on the Travel Channel.
Oh, I don't watch that. Do you watch that?
Not really, but I speed by it sometimes and I see him. And, he's got a good living. He makes a lot of money going out and eating all this crazy stuff. And he will eat anything, that's for sure.
Well, I don't watch the Fear Factor either.
Oh, no, me neither. I have enough things I'm afraid of just right around here. I don't need to watch that. But what's amazing to me is this is so cultural. When I worked at Honda of America teaching English for 2 or 3 years. I don't remember.
Where?
Honda of America.
Wait, what's Honda of America?
They make Honda cars. Honda of America is the Honda company outside of Marysville.
Oh, it is located in America, okay.
Honda of America, not Honda of Japan. I had to stay here. I didn't get to go to Japan. But anyway, long story short, we had a discussion about Thanksgiving because it was a holiday that was coming up. And they were all guys, of course. They were all the engineers and stuff. And they were astonished that we would eat a turkey. Because in their culture, a turkey is not edible. So, this is all cultural. What you eat, what you don't eat, what you're scared of eating. It's different in every country in the world, And I said, oh, I love turkey. It's my favorite. And they just got green practically. They said, oh, Jane, are you really going to eat that? I had a notion to bring a turkey sandwich, Ha-ha, boys, here I go.
Well, my memory isn't that great, but I used to have a couple of Chinese people living in my house, and they didn't take their milk cold.
Oh, yeah, I know. Or water either, for that matter.
Really? So they prefer it warm.
Yes, yes. They believe, I did too. I rented rooms when I used to live up on East State. I rented rooms to 2 or 3, maybe even 4, I can't remember, Chinese graduate students, females. And the girls would just be so upset in the summer when I would get a big glass of ice water. They would say, "Oh, Jane, that's not good for you. You shouldn't drink that."
So they don't eat ice cream?
I can't say as I ever saw my girls eat ice cream. I don't know. But they certainly don't drink ice water.
Well, for people who eat grubs and not ice cream, I'm sorry.
I am too. That's it. Well, you know, hey, like I said, it's all cultural. Maybe that grub tastes just as good to them as Haagen-Dazs does to us. Who knows?
Well, you know, we have come to the end of our procrastination,
Ah.
and we're going now to the hot news item. These people have been sitting here going through all of us
Yes.
to see.
Very frustrated waiting for this.
Yes. Okay, here it is.
Okay, Athens. Well, I hope you enjoyed this.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they did.
Those of you who enjoy us enjoyed it, and those of you who didn't, I'm kind of sorry.
Right, it's the opposite of a fan letter.
No, that's a good question. We'll answer that question next week. So,
Okay.
bye, Athens.
So long.
See you next week.
This is an orientation session for the Appalachian Renewable Energy Consumer Co-op. This is the first in a series of co-ops that we're organizing here in the Athens area. We have another one we'll be starting on fairly soon in the Marietta area, and then a third again in the Athens area but devoted to small businesses. I'm the executive director of the Center for the Creation of Cooperation, and we've been acting as the organizing agent for this and this series of co-ops. As this co-op, AREC, gets on its feet, we're stepping back and the co-op members are taking it over, which will allow us to turn our attention to organizing new co-ops. We see this co-op in Athens as the beginning of the local manifestation of what is really a nationwide phenomenon. That is, around the country there are communities organizing renewable energy organizations. Some of them are co-ops, some are nonprofits, but there is a movement. It's a community-supported energy movement that in many ways parallels the community-supported agriculture movement that we've seen over the past decade or so. We see the co-op as an intermediary organization. That is an organization that draws together the knowledge and skills and capabilities of the members, but as an organization stands as an intermediary between the individual member household and the large world of regulations and technologies and different aspects of both energy efficiency and renewable energy. It's an overwhelming, vast set of knowledge and regulations that people have to navigate. And so a lot of people are daunted by that and don't really take the steps they would like to. The co-op is here to help everyone take those steps to gradually become more energy efficient, which makes bringing in renewable energy much more feasible. What I'm describing is really the first point of the co-op model, and that is that we use a two-phase process with each co-op member and with the co-op as a whole. The first phase really deals with energy efficiency, conservation, and behavior change. We start out with each co-op member by installing a whole house energy monitor that allows the member to learn what their energy usage patterns are, particularly in terms of electricity. The co-op provides that monitor and installs it and introduces the member to its usage. We're also doing bulk purchases of a variety of energy efficiency items. For example, high quality LED light bulbs. We've done extensive research and we found this American company, Cree, that produces a very, very good product. We've done a bulk purchase and we're distributing them to the members at cost. Likewise, we're looking at what are called conservation switches that allow us to plug in our VCRs or coffee makers or anything that is sitting there using electricity day in and day out. This is a little switch that allows us, with just pressing a button, we can turn it off, and so it quits using that phantom load. In the second phase, we will bring in sources of renewable energy. And we have three strategies for doing that. One is that we're working with local installers to find ways to reduce the cost of bringing in individual installations. We're doing both a catalog that shows what all of the installers have available. We're also looking at the possibility of bulk installations where we would pool together maybe 10 households and ask the installers to bid on installing all 10 of those at a reduced cost. They're very interested in that. Secondly, we're doing a pilot microgrid that will tie together about a half a dozen member households with their own supply of electrical power, probably from solar, but we're also looking at microhydro and wind as a source for that. The microgrid would have the capacity to store a certain amount of electricity in batteries and to detach from the larger grid in the event of a storm that brings down the grid. The third strategy that we're investigating are what are called solar gardens, in which we would find within the community an optimal location for a large bank of solar panels that members would be able to own shares in through a mechanism called virtual net metering. And through the cooperative structure, they could own shares in that and get credit for their share just as if they had those panels on their own roof. So we're pursuing all three of those. We are in fact organized as a cooperative, which is a means of assuring local ownership and control and participation of people in our own energy sources. We've had a system for the past 100 years in which large monopolies have supplied our electricity and we had to accept whatever they offered. Now we have this community-based movement, much of which is cooperative, that is enabling local ownership and control. Thirdly, the cooperative structure allows in-kind member contributions. That is, for some of the things that we're doing with energy efficiency and with installing renewable power, there are things that ordinary folks can do. We certainly use professionals where it's appropriate, but we also create circumstances where members can hold down the costs by contributing their own labor. Fourthly, we're using what's called a shared savings model. where we're financing both the creation of sources of renewable power and energy efficiency programs through the savings that each member realizes between what they would have paid for their electricity if they did nothing and the diminishing cost of electricity because they are doing energy efficiency and renewable sources. The shared savings are set up so that a small portion goes to the co-op to support the co-op activities, and a larger portion is used first to pay off the renewable energy and energy efficiency measures, and then becomes a source of funds to the member. Most of the things we're looking at will be paid off in 10 to 15 years, but have a life of more like 25 or 30 years. So the member will have free electricity for about half of that period, and then it will be renewable beyond that. So it becomes a mechanism through which people can build up their own capital rather than paying it to a large corporation that takes it out of the community. It stays in the community and builds community wealth. Finally, the co-op is using what is called a social influence model to spread the word. Rather than going on television or buying large ad campaigns, we're recognizing, as the research shows, that people who make this kind of significant change in their life to shift from conventional power to renewable power do it because of social influence, because someone that they identify closely with, a friend, family, or neighbor, is doing it, and they can observe that this close associate is making the transition. We're doing what we can to enable our members to create an ever-widening circle of influence to bring more and more people into the change process. Those are the 5 elements of the co-op structure. That concludes the orientation.